Hi everyone, my name is Danny. Welcome to another edition here on Danny's Corner, another video where I talk about everything. If you're new to this channel, I talk about politics, social issues, people with disabilities, because I myself have several disabilities and just want to make people aware. And certainly I'm interested in different topics just like everyone else is. So in this instance, I want to talk about language. There's so much that has been said about language and how just so many things, and people unfortunately are ignorant to a lot of this stuff. In the United States, we have over 332 million people who live here, and a lot of them speak English, and about 68 million speak another language other than English. Did you know that in the United States we do not have an official language? That's right. Every thing that you get in the mail, or a lot of things, will be in English and other languages. This includes, obviously, government documentation that you may receive. And so a lot of people argue that if you live in the United States, you must speak English only, that everything that we receive should be English only. And there's a bit of a problem with that. Not that English is the problem. The problem with that is, without knowing, you may be excluding other people. For example, let's say you don't want people speaking Spanish or Chinese or Portuguese in your establishment. Fine, because you want to understand them, right? That's what you would say, English only. But let's say there was a person who only communicated in sign language, either American Sign Language or something else. What would you say to that person? How would you convey to that person, I don't want you to make any hand gestures or whatnot? See, this is the problem that we face when we try to impose our ideas on other people. How do we communicate to a person who can't speak to sign in American language? Are you going to be able to understand it if you do? See, these are some of the problems that we run into. If you want people to speak your language, then you must be prepared to understand them when they ask you to speak their language. In this case, if a person who only can sign in American Sign Language, not always that person may have an interpreter. So, are you going to step in and learn sign language, or are you going to expect for that person to have an interpreter all the time? What I'm getting to with this question is, why do minorities have to bow down to you, but you don't have to do the same thing? And I've asked this question when it comes to people with disabilities. How come people with disabilities have to do whatever the sighted population wants and needs, but yet when we need help or when we need something, they ignore us and they do whatever they want? And this is the same thing with language. It's easy for us to say English only, but we must consider ourselves, or we should consider ourselves, hypocrites, because when we go to other countries that don't speak the English language, we stay at hotels that, they have staff that speak in English. And so How can we say, oh, I speak Spanish whenever I go to Mexico, or I speak Portuguese whenever I go to Portugal or Brazil or Mozambique, or any of those things? We can't, because we are obviously going to stay in hotel rooms that, well, that have English speaking staff. The only people that can say that they speak another language outside of the United States are those who live in other countries, who are expats, or who work for short periods of time in other countries. Give me a break. Those people that live in the United States saying that, English should be the only language spoken, that would be like saying something like print should be the only available medium in which things can be written. Then you exclude other people, such as blind people, because you're not going to have Braille. And so, regardless, if we were to take other languages away from this whole discussion, you would still have other things mass produced in Braille, large print. And so money would still be spent on a lot of these things, even more. We would use the money that we're using right now to make documents available in other languages. If these languages were outlawed from being, or, I'm sorry, if these documents were illegal to print in other languages other than English, we would still use those resources, or we would expect to use those resources to use them for, brailing and other things. So I just don't find this whole idea that English only would work, because it's more than obvious that that's not the problem. The problem is that we as a society don't accept people for who they are, regardless if they speak another language, regardless if they have a disability, regardless if they're black or sexual orientation or what have you. We do not like others who do not speak, think, walk, talk, or behave as we do. That's the problem here. It's not the language issue. People try to cover a lot of things with, oh, well, it's the language, or it's this, or it's that. We need to admit to ourselves that we don't like other people. And we're only nice to them because we have to. And I think I've mentioned this before. What would happen if there weren't any laws preventing you from discrimination, or preventing you from any other things that now are considered bad or against the law? Would you do them? How many people would answer, yes, I would? The thing that we have in the United States is that a group of people have come up and supported these ideas, English only movement and other movements similar to this one. And with that, a voice has been given to those people who for a long time have stayed silent. To those people who for a long time have said, perhaps to themselves, why do we need to have laws to protect these people when they are foreigners, or when they are this, or when they are that, disabled, you name it? And so, again, there's a voice. They're being heard. They're not the majority, but they're speaking loud and clear. And it's up to us, those people who We may not agree with one another, but we understand that as people, we have to understand that this country is made up of diverse people, different languages, different ways of speaking, different ways of thinking, neurotypical people as well as atypical people, or, it's just a lot of people. And you don't have to agree with one another because that would be boring. The thing is here, how to live among all of these people and still get along. And I think there lies the confusion. I'm going to make another video on how we can get along, although we may think differently. This video was just on language and how absurd we have gotten with this whole idea of English only. Again, I don't think it should be English only, because with that, you're also saying or implying other stuff as well without you realizing it. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, to share, to like, to comment. Make a suggestion, if you will. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.